was traveling for a little bit, but she's back. Very good. So I want to welcome you. This is important information, and I'm here as a senior because I know this would benefit all of us. You qualify for this too. If you're over 50, you are a senior. Así que, yep. So that's the reality for us. But anyways, so we want to center ourselves. So we're gonna have our guest speaking to us, and we're open to what she has to bring to us. But we're still in the sanctuary. We have an opportunity for us to center ourselves and say, "Thank you, God, for this beautiful day and for the opportunity that we have to have our guests sharing with us about ministry." You know, God has been leading us into also provide mission and ministry to the seniors in our area, in addition to everything else. But God continues to work. Let's pray. God, we give you thanks for the gift of this beautiful day. We have gathered earlier and we continue to gather here in this location, giving thanks to you for the way you blessed us. And you blessed us not only with just good things, but also with opportunities for us to be in service and in relationship with the community. We acknowledge that this month is a month that has many celebrations, such as Pride, that we have talked about this morning, and allow for us to continue to be that welcoming, radical hospitality community where everybody can feel your love and care, and no one is outside of your grace. As we gather this morning, we ask for the presence in the mystery of your work through the Trinity of your Holy Spirit with us. So as we engage in conversation, as we open our hearts and we open our minds and learn about opportunities and services for the seniors in our area, that you also moved us in possible ways that we can be resources as well in the spiritual realm for the community that it's around us. Be with us, and we pray this in the name of Christ. Amen.
Thank you all for coming. I am so glad to see you because I did reach out to someone one of our members in his 80s to see if he could come and join us. And he said to me, "Judy, I'm not there yet. When I turn 90, you can call me." So I'm so happy to see you all here. And we would just want to welcome Emily Leclerc from Howard County Office of Aging. Such a tongue tie. But we do welcome you and we thank you for all the services that you do for us here in Howard County and for the information that you bring, not just for Howard County, because I'm sure the other counties around us do share that same information. So if you're in PG or Montgomery County, just hold on to the information and see what your county can do with what we all learn here today. So thank you so much, Emily, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me okay? All right. Thank you for that welcome. I do work for the Howard County Office on Aging, but every county in Maryland has some department of aging. So a lot of the services I'm going to go over are pretty general and will be statewide. They might have a little bit of different name, but those services are available in your county as well if you don't live in Howard County. I guess next slide. All right, so I feel like there's a lot of misinformation out there about older adult services. It can be very overwhelming. So if anything, I hope after today's presentation, you will have a better sense. If you feel like this slide, feel like you're gonna have to go through a maze to get services, that you will come away and knowing where to start at your local Department of Aging, okay? Next slide. All right, so our county, the Office on Aging, we are part of Howard County government. So we get federal funds, county funds, and state funds. And we are the primary agency under Howard County government that does all the programs, services for older adults. And yes, older adults, we consider 50 or older. So if you're 50 or older, you're considered an older adult. Our services could vary depending on your age because some of our services do have a criteria. And basically, we serve anybody 50 or older, individuals with disabilities, and their caregivers, family caregivers or professional caregivers. And we have all different services that range with services that are home and community-based services that I'll go over, health and wellness programs, nutrition programs, programs to help with Medicare, and our 50-plus centers. In Howard County, we call our senior centers 50-plus centers. Next slide. So the first thing I'm going to go over today is Maryland Access Point. And really, that's the starting part of our office. So most likely, if you need services or have questions about services in our county, you're going to want to call Maryland Access Point. We're the information and assistance part of the office. We are an aging and disability resource center. Basically, about 25 years ago, the federal government said, whoa, we got to prepare for the baby boomers. And they gave federal funds to every state in the United States to create an aging and disability resource center. And so in Maryland, we call it Maryland Access Point. Again, if you live in a different county, every county has a MAP program. I'm going to call it for MAP for short because it's a little long. But if you need help, please call us and then we can better direct you. And I'm going to go over a lot more about what we do on the next couple slides. Next slide. All right, so MAP, Maryland Access Point, we're the starting point, and one of the main things that we do is try to help you explore your options. There's lots of different care options out there. In-home care, assisted living, retirement communities, nursing homes, supportive services. If you're just not sure where to begin, call our MAP office and we can assist you in exploring those options. Everyone's situation is different, so it's not one size fits all. And so I really want to make sure that people are well informed and we provide unbiased information. I'm not here to sell you a service or force a service upon you. I'm really trying to get you to know what those options so you can make the best decision. You can call our office to learn about all the different resources in our county. Not just aging services, but we do get people who will call us about all different things like tax credits, transportation. And then for us, we connect you to those community programs. So oftentimes with MAP, we make all the referrals to our programs within our office, but we also can make referrals to other local agencies. And then we really want to help people plan and prepare. So I think what Judy said, the person who's in their 80s didn't want to come today. And that was breaking my heart because I really am trying to get people to kind of do the first step, come to something like this, to learn about your services. Because if people don't learn about what options might be available before they need it, it can be very stressful when a medical crisis happens or a change in their health status. And then they have to make quick decisions about all these services. So I really wish he would have come today so he could be better informed, but you took the first step today to learn about what services might be available. Next slide. All right, so MAP is a starting place for a couple different options. One is simple information and assistance. Examples could be, what time does the senior center open up? What transportation options might be available to get to a medical appointment? Those are really simple information. Long-term care planning. We do a lot of this type of work where we're trying to, again, let people know what their options are when it comes to long-term care planning. Long-term care is a term in our industry that covers basically every type of care that you're most likely going to need as you age. And if you're over the age of 65, there is going to be a good percentage of us that will need some type of long-term care service. Whether that is somebody helping you to take out the trash, housekeeping, personal care, assisted living, or nursing home level of care, those are all considered long-term care services. We are also here to support our caregivers because without our caregivers, this system would be very overwhelmed. It's already overwhelmed as it is, and we really need to support our caregivers to provide support to their older adults and their family members. And so we have different programs to help support our caregivers. The other thing that we do is benefit screening. And I'm going to grab one of these. Oftentimes I get people will call us, particularly right now, is because everything's super expensive, right? All the costs have gone up, food costs, housing costs, and people are trying to figure out what they're eligible for. And so that's what we mean by benefit screening, trying to see what benefits you might be eligible for as far as federal, state, or county programs. And so if you picked up one of these, or if you plan to pick up one of these, in the resource guide, the first couple pages, there's going to be some charts in here, and this has all the benefit programs, and it's set up by category. So if you're trying to see if you're eligible for, say, tax credits, or Medicare savings programs, or in-home care, or programs to help pay for assisted living, we do provide you all the guidelines for those programs and the criteria, and then just some basic information on each of those programs. But this is something that MAP can help people with. You can call us, we can discuss your financial situation over the phone, get an idea what your income and assets are, and screen you for the different programs. And then certainly we're available to help you apply for those programs and fill out those applications if need be. And then the last major thing that Maryland Access Point does is called options counseling, and this is available in every county. And basically, it's our way of meeting with individuals and or their family to talk about either their current needs, maybe they're needing some long-term care services right now, or at least planning for future needs. Meeting with you to go over those care options, so when you do need it, you already have an idea of what might be available for you. And so it's really an informal situation. We can do it over the phone. We can do it in our office. And we love when family members are involved, so that way everybody can be on the same page. And I think the next slide goes over an example of an options counseling. All right, so option counseling, I will say it's good for anybody. Anybody 50 or older who wants to learn more about the different services and options. But I will say it can be really good for individuals that maybe are dealing with a medical issue or a change in their health status, maybe starting to need more assistance in their home, or who will be discharged from a hospital because of a change in health status or a rehab facility. And so I encourage people at those particular times, maybe think about calling our office to get more information about services and options. And basically, it's really to help you hopefully save some stress, some time, some money by learning about those options in advance. And we can do that over the phone, in person, whatever you prefer. And we've actually done it over the computer. Like if you have family members that live in a different state and they want to participate virtually, we can do that as well. Next slide. All right, I don't know if you can really see this really well with the small screen, but I do have copies of all the slides there. But this is just an example about options counseling, because again, I don't know if the term really conveys what we do with individuals when they call. So this is a good example. I get these calls daily. This was a person in our community. She was 91, and she lives independently in her home. And she wants to age in place as long as possible. And certainly our office, we want to encourage people to do that as long as it's safe. And she just thought, well, I better make sure I'm doing everything that I could be. She was being proactive. So I'm giving kudos to her for calling in advance. Me and her just had a conversation. I did not call it options counseling. We're just talking, and I just start asking her some more questions to get a sense about like what's her situation like. Her daughter lives in Florida, so she lives alone here in Maryland. She really doesn't have a good social support, but she lives in a rancher, and right now at 91, she's still independent for the most part with her activities of daily living, like bathing, dressing, grooming, meal preparation. She can do all that. And she's already been proactive by doing some things already. She hired a person to take care of her yard. She hired a person to take her to places, take her to the grocery store, take her to the bank, take her to medical appointments. But again, she just wanted to make sure that she was doing everything that she was doing. And I'm going to ask people their financial situation because oftentimes I have to determine if a person might be eligible for programs. And she's on a very fixed income, around $2,000. And so with that, that tells me that she doesn't have a lot of extra funds to do other things. And so we talked about different care options in case she would need it in the future. So we talked about in-home care providers, how to hire help, and the programs that maybe could help her if and when she needed that care. We talked about Meals on Wheels because they're a good service in our county that can either do grocery shopping for individuals who can't do grocery shopping for themselves or prepare meals for her. We talked about transportation options because here she was hiring this person to take her places, and there were more affordable options in the county that could take her to those locations. And we talked about tax credits because she owned her home, so we could maybe save her some money on her property taxes. And we talked about making her home. Was there anything that could be done to make her home more accessible, either with durable medical equipment or things like that? And again, talking to her about preparing for advanced directives and legal forms, and has she had these conversations with her daughter to make sure they're all on the same page if something should happen, right? And so we had a good conversation. I sent her out some resources, and I love that she asked me to send the same packet to her daughter in Florida so they could talk about the services so the daughter could be well informed if something would happen. So this is just an example about options counseling. Again, I'm not here to force services upon. I think there's a lot of people think, oh, I don't want to call the Office on Aging. They're going to put me in an assisted living or nursing home. That's not my role. My role is just to make sure people have the best information and unbiased information. Next slide. All right. So this is my team. Maryland Access Point, we're very fortunate. We have 6 resource specialists. We have one that speaks Spanish, one that speaks Korean, and we basically answer our MAP helpline Monday through Friday from 8 to 5, and I like to put our faces up there so you know we are friendly and we're here and available to provide information. Next slide. And how do you get in touch with us? Our number is on every document our office puts out. We try to make it simple, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, we're available at that telephone Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. And we are also located at our 50-plus centers. So each MAP resource specialist is working out of a 50-plus center to make it easier for you to meet with them or talk about services wherever you live in the county. So if you live in the North Laurel area, North Laurel 50-plus center is off Whiskey Bottom, and Claudia is at that location. Or if you live in Ellicott City, Jill is at that location. You can also email us if you have questions. But I will encourage you, if you have a lot of complex questions, please call, because it will be easier for me to go over those versus writing it all out. But at the end of options counseling and those long calls, we will send you a summary email. That way you have something in writing about what we went over with you. Next slide. So now I'm just going to kind of give you some overviews of other important information our office provides. And so I say MAP does almost everything as far as information-wise except for Medicare. But we have an office called SHIP, State Health Insurance Assistance Program, SHIP for short. And I brought their brochure. And if you ever have questions about Medicare, Medicare prescription drug plans, secondary insurances, Concerned about Medicare fraud, questions about your Medicare statement, something doesn't seem right, or Medicare benefits, please call our SHIP office. We have Medicare counselors that can talk and go over those options with you, answer your questions, or schedule an appointment with somebody at one of our 50-plus centers. Next slide. Then our office, we have a bunch of health and wellness programs. We certainly are trying to encourage older adults in our county to stay active. And so we have different things to promote programs around chronic health issues. Our Living Well programs are there to help you know how to, say, talk to your doctor about a chronic health issue, how to better manage those symptoms, things like that. We have a couple of programs that our Stepping On program is to help prevent falls. We provide lunch at every 50-plus center and nutritional counseling for free at our 50-plus centers, where you could meet with a nutritionist for 30 minutes, Carmen, to get some advice. We also have a gym now at every single 50-plus center except for East Columbia right now. So it's for anybody who's over the age of 50. That's why I say we serve 50 and older. You are eligible for the gym at those centers, and it's a very affordable option. And then we have volunteer opportunities if people are looking to volunteer. Next slide. Our 50-plus centers, we have 6 located throughout the county. Each of them pretty much are different in what they offer. So if you're not finding what you think is good for you or work well for you at one location, I encourage you to try another location. The only one right now, our smallest one, is East Columbia, but that one is being built, a new one right next door, and that'll open sometime next winter, 2024, and that will be the largest site. Does anybody go to a 50-plus center right now? All right, good. Yeah. They're great places to get some activities, go to the gym, hang out with friends, do special programming. Some of the services are free. It is free to become a member of the 50-plus center, but then there are going to be some services that might have a cost if there's a class or something like that. We have our newsletter calendars for each of the 50-plus centers online, so you could take a look. We do 3 months in advance, or 3 months out, so you can get an idea and plan in advance. Next slide. And really the slide is just going over what type of activities each center provides. I think the bottom picture is a picture of the gym at the Bain Center in Columbia, which had some renovations during COVID. And then on this one side is a description about a program we called Connection Social Day Program. And this is out of our Ellicott City location, and this is for anybody that maybe has a cognitive impairment, memory issues, and really can't participate by themselves at one of our 50-plus centers. Because for the 50-plus centers, people come and go, do what they need, and leave. There's really nobody there to push you to do activities or anything like that. You just do it on your own, or you sign up and you attend. Whereas our Connection Social Day program is a little bit different, where we have staff there to support the participants and make sure that they're safe, encourage them to participate, and it's a really good program. It's a 4-hour program out of Ellicott City, and it gives caregivers a break. So if you have a family member who could benefit from some socialization, some activities, they could go to that center for a few hours, and then the caregiver could participate and do the things that they need to do and know their loved one is in a safe environment. There is a cost for the program, but it's very reasonable as far as covering the staff that are there and their occupational therapists that oversee that program. Next slide. Caregiver support program. I did not have any brochures. We ran out of brochures, but really this is a program within our office. We're here to support caregivers. You might not even consider yourself a caregiver, but I bet you there's a lot of caregivers in this room. If you help a loved one with even the smallest thing, like doing grocery shopping for your loved one, I consider you a caregiver. You are helping your loved one with some basic needs, assistance that they need, right? And so we have a couple caregiver support specialists where caregivers can meet with one-on-one to get some emotional support, some guidance as far as services, to get some advice on how to handle some of those difficult things that our caregivers often have to go through. They do provide different educational programs throughout the year. They do support groups in our county. And then every November, we have a caregiver conference that is open for caregivers to register, and it's free, and you can attend a full day of educational programs and some respite. On the slide, and it's on the handout, is Ernestine Thomas. She is our caregiver support specialist. She is available once a week or once a month at every 50 Plus Center, and you can schedule an appointment with her, and she can kind of go over what resources might be able to assist you as a caregiver. Next slide. Resources to age in place. I would say majority of the people I talk to want to try to age in place if possible, and so we have a lot of different programs to help support you if you want to live in your current home or maybe downsize and move to something that's more accessible. So how we do that is we have information about in-home care options, like if you needed to hire assistants in your home to help you with like personal care, bathing, dressing, grooming, meal preparation, medication management. But then we have some people in our office through our community living program, which are occupational therapists that are here to provide you some guidance and advice around how to make your home more accessible. So if you're trying to maybe think about how you can manage the laundry in the basement, or you're thinking, boy, this tub situation isn't working for me anymore. Is there any durable medical equipment that could make that task easier for me? Our community living program might be a really good program for you to have that consultation. I did provide an information sheet on that program up here, and basically you just call MAP and we would make the referral. And then the other, I think, actually go to the next slide. The other main program is our loan closet. Has anybody used the loan closet in Howard County? Wow, okay. Ah, nice. Okay. Well, Howard County has this huge loan closet in Columbia. I did provide the brochure, and actually these are all pictures of the loan closet. Basically, it's set up as a showroom. They have different areas of your home to give you an idea of what equipment could be available to help you with different tasks. So they have a bedroom area, a little kitchen setup, a bathroom, and then they have all the durable medical equipment showing how you could use it. It is staffed by occupational therapists, and you can borrow the medical equipment from the loan closet for free as long as you're a Howard County resident, or if you're caring for a Howard County resident. And you can keep it for the most part as long as you need it. There's only really one equipment that we ask that we only give you a 90-day letting you have it for 90 days, and that's the transport wheelchairs, because they're just super popular. But it's a good way for you to maybe use it while somebody's recovering from a medical issue, or try it out and see if this is really something that could meet your needs. But the main things that we have is walkers, wheelchairs, bedside commodes, raised toilet seats, reachers, things to hook on the side of your bed to help you get in and out. I mean, we got a lot of different equipment, and basically how we get that equipment is by donation. So if you have a bunch of equipment laying around and you no longer need it, you could always donate it to our loan closet. But also the state of Maryland has a new loan closet for all Maryland residents. And the loan closet can be your place to pick up the medical equipment from that loan closet, because the state's loan closet is located in southern Maryland, so it'd be kind of far from here. But instead of you going down there, you could just come to our loan closet to pick up the equipment from that loan closet. A lot of our equipment does need you to have a order, not an order, but a form filled out by a medical provider. And really that's just for risk management for us. We want to make sure that you truly need it, that you are going to be able to use it properly. Because a lot of times people want those fancy rollators and they're maybe not the best equipment for everyone, you know. Maybe the basic walker is the best option. So it's really important if you feel like you need some type of medical equipment is to maybe ask your physician for a referral to see either an outpatient physical therapist or occupational therapist to get that consult for different equipment. Next slide. All right, so I just wanted to mention a couple other things of how we can help. And boy, I can't even see that, so I'm sure you can't see it. One big thing is I want to make it clear that if you need help with information about in-home care, please don't hesitate to call our office. Because it's a huge industry out there. There's so many agencies, so many providers, and I just encourage you to call if you're trying to figure out which provider is best for you. As a county employee, I can't recommend one agency or person over another just due to risk management. But what I can and our office can do is provide you some information around things to think about, tips, questions to ask, so you can find the best provider for you. We have what we call a home care registry, which is a list of the providers in the Howard County area. And even I don't like giving it out because it's huge. Everybody wants to get on it. But at least part of the home care registry gives you all those questions, tips, and things to think about. The cost for in-home care in our area can range anywhere from about $25 to $35+ an hour. So it's really expensive. I don't think people realize how expensive it is until you need it and you start calling around. And sometimes these providers will say you need a minimum of 2 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours. And so that's why it's so important for people to learn about these options before they need it. So they can see financially, could I handle these services? Could I pay for it? And then I just want to encourage you, if you are needing in-home care, you could certainly look at our resource guide to see if you are eligible for those programs. But I'm going to also be the bearer of bad news is all our programs that provide the in-home care have wait list. And so that's why earlier I said we really are trying to support our caregivers because a lot of that will then often fall on the shoulders of the caregiver. Some other things that I want to mention is we have the transportation options in the county. You can always call us at MAP and we can go over those. And then we have information on all the other types of housing options. Whether that is independent senior apartments, we have that information. We have retirement information. We have 55+ communities. We have information on assisted living and nursing homes. And then I would say assisted living is probably going to be the next big area that people feel really overwhelmed with if and when that they need it or their family member needs it, because there's lots of different options when it comes to assisted living. And so please think of our office to call when you might need that for a loved one, because then we can let you know what those options are, what the cost might be, things to think about when you're trying to make that decision. And then we can also screen anybody for any of the programs to help with the cost of assisted living. Assisted living is not, and I should say in-home care for the most part, and assisted living definitely is not covered by Medicare. And so I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. People just assume, oh, Medicare, they'll cover it. Oh, Medicare will cover assisted living. Or a lot of people think Medicaid cover assisted living too, and that's just not the case as well. So again, I'm so glad you guys came so I can share this valuable information with you. And next slide. Some other services within our office that I just wanted to point out is one is our long-term care ombudsman program. Our ombudsmen are advocates for residents and assisted livings and long-term care facilities. And I always like to bring it up because if you or your loved ones ever in one of those facilities or level of care and something just doesn't sit right with you, you're concerned about the care, you can certainly call and speak to one of our ombudsmen, and they are the ones in the state to go out and investigate the care issues in those facilities, and also make sure that the resident rights are being followed through in those facilities. So right now we have 3 ombudsmen, and then we also have volunteers that act as ombudsmen, and they go out and visit those facilities unannounced, or they'll go and visit residents asking them how things are going, but also investigate any complaints or issues that come through our office. We also have a housing unit within our office, and that's primarily looking at the smaller assisted livings. In Howard County, we have about 70 smaller assisted livings, which are more in the community and a house-like setting. You might have one in your own community and don't even realize it. But basically, these are licensed assisted livings on a smaller scale. Generally, they have about maybe 4 to 8 residents, depending on the size, and our office will go out there and monitor those facilities to make sure they're following the regulations. And then we do provide guardianship for people in our community that are 65 and older, and it's guardian of person, and it's really the last, if there's no family members and an individual cannot do what they need to do for themselves or not competent, then it's a court process, and then we'll be guardian. Next slide. One other program I wanted to mention, I brought a brochure, is the Maryland Senior Call Check Program. It's a newer program in Maryland, and it's for anybody who is 65 and older. And if you would like to get a free call every day around the same time, it's set up to just make sure that you pick up the phone and that you're okay. And so the idea is if you don't pick up during your scheduled time, they'll call you again. If you don't pick up again, they're going to call you again. And if you don't pick up, they're going to be calling and reaching out to your emergency contact person and or the police to go do a wellness check. So it's just another way in the state, Maryland Department of Aging wants to encourage or be supportive to people who live alone. It's a free service. Next slide. And the last thing, I think this is the last slide, is to go over tax credits, because it is tax credit season. And sometimes I find people don't realize if you are a Howard County resident and you own a home, you might qualify for some of the tax credits through the county. And so Howard County has a few tax credits. We have an aging in place tax credit for anybody who has lived in their same home in the county for 30 years. You could qualify for a credit towards your property taxes. There is no income or asset guidelines, but there is the criteria of 30 years in the same dwelling. And then there's a senior property tax credit that's for anybody 65 or older. It does have income or asset guidelines, but they're pretty high. And that could also give you a credit on your taxes. And then we have a livable tax credit, which is basically set up if you decide you want to make your home accessible, like put a stair glide in, or do something to your bathroom, get grab bars, or put a ramp in, and you're going to purchase and do that with a contractor. The county's not going to pay for that, but what they'll do is, if you fill out the form, you could get a credit towards your property taxes as a way to help you and support you with aging in your community. And then Maryland, if you live in Maryland, Maryland has their own property tax credit, and that's really for anybody regardless of age. And then they also have a renter's tax credit. So if you're a renter in Maryland, you might qualify. And certainly MAP, Maryland Access Point, can help you with those applications. If you want to do aging in place, the guideline or the deadline for aging in place is the end of this month, June 30th, and all the guidelines and everything is in here. The other senior tax credit and the Maryland and renters tax credit are all due by October 1st. Next slide. And then resource guide, I encourage you, I can leave my extra guides if you want me to. It basically has everything that you might need to know as far as services within our office and who to call. But then it gives you information like in-home care providers, transportation, assisted living, retirement communities, all in one source. But again, please call us at MAP if you have questions, because I know even just looking at this, can be kind of overwhelming. And then the last thing I want to just mention is age-friendly Howard. Our county over the last couple years is trying to become age-friendly certified. A lot of the local counties have already done it, like Baltimore County, Montgomery County. And if you want to provide some guidance about how we should become age-friendly, or you want to sit on a committee, we're certainly looking for volunteers to provide their feedback. And you can learn more about our age-friendly initiative. Next slide. Questions? Any questions? I'm sure there's something I did not go over that maybe people wanted to get some answers. If there is no questions, like it's something that's personal to you and you don't want others to know or hear about it, I completely understand. So I encourage you to call us at MAP, because when you do talk to us, it is confidential and we will not be sharing your information or our conversation with anybody. Any questions? Mm-hmm.
I thought I recalled when you were being introduced that your office is for aging and disability.
Mm-hmm.
So is it for the disabled that are over 50, or is it disabled of all ages?
It's really for all ages. Well, I will say 18 and older. We are under the Department of Community Resources and Services. So it's this big umbrella, and it's the human services arm of Howard County government. And so Howard County Office on Aging is one. We have a disability services. We have a veteran and military families. We have children and families, human trafficking, local children's board. So we have a lot of different services within our office. Maryland Access Point, because we are an aging and disability resource center, we do serve individuals with disabilities 18 and older. But when it comes to disabilities, because they're so varied, we might have to refer you to another agency that services that population, like say the Maryland Developmental Disability Administration. They're really the ones in our state that services that population with that disability. So oftentimes we don't have direct services for people with disabilities. We're going to have to refer you to other agencies that services maybe that disability or that need, if that makes sense. But we do have an Office of Disability Services. That services anybody with a disability, but it could be a physical disability, it could be a developmental disability, it could be a mental health disability, and that's what makes it so hard in the disability field, because everyone's needs are so different.
And how do you function? I mean, again, as you mentioned, certainly there's federal government support, and then there's the state of Maryland support. How is Howard County then fit within that structure? And how, and again, you mentioned that some of your services are consistent across the counties. How do you all kind of cooperate together? How does it all kind of fit together?
Yeah, so in Maryland, they started doing more connection with creating a long-term care system where every county has access to make referrals to different federal programs, federal funding programs, I should say. So they've created a better network to assist, say, people with Medicaid. People who have Medicaid might qualify for in-home care programs. And then there is a big wide program called the Community Options Waiver, which is statewide. And then there's other programs like the Community Pathways Waiver for individuals with developmental disabilities. So the idea is creating a big system where each county can funnel in referrals to make the necessary referrals to get the services towards the individual. I will say COVID really clogged up the system. It was going pretty smoothly when they created this system. I will say I was pretty impressed for state government. But what COVID happened was more and more people needed in-home care services. We saw a huge increase. I will say people aged very quickly. Needs started coming up the chain, and now we can make referrals, but oftentimes it's longer for individuals to get those direct services. Like they're in the queue waiting maybe for their application to be approved, or waiting for their plan of care to be approved to get the services, or even as simple as waiting for a case manager. And so that's why I try to encourage people to be proactive as much as possible so they can see and I can share these things with them so they realize it's not often starts right away. Because a lot of times people think, oh, well, I need an aid. Can your office provide an aid? And well, let's see if you're eligible. And then let's see what referrals I can make. And then I really just want to be honest with people so everyone's on the same expectation as far as how quickly could services start. So that's really what Maryland did with a lot of the federal funds for Medicaid to promote hopefully keeping people out of a facility. That's the goal, by using those Medicaid dollars to provide more supportive services in the county and in the state. I hope I answered your question. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great advice. So our office, we usually have a expo every year in October, and we haven't had our expo since COVID. I don't think we're gonna have an expo this October because we would be planning for it right now. We are down an administrator. We have an acting administrator. We are actively hiring for that position, but I will take it back. That people would like that expo because that is a great place where people could learn about every service that our office provides, but also have a chance to talk to providers in our county. Oh, I'm sure they will. Yeah, we're pretty excited. East Columbia, they said fall, now they're saying winter, so I'm thinking March. I don't know. But it's going to be a beautiful site, the largest 50-plus center for us. So I'm sure they'll have a grand opening. That's probably a limitation when it comes to transportation across county. So generally every county offers some type of mobility transportation, but they don't generally go cross county. So yeah, so that does become an issue. Sometimes when people have medical appointments in a different county, it can be hard to get from Howard County to, say, Prince George's in Laurel, so close, or in Kate, like if to go to other places outside the county, it's hard. Mm. Yeah, I could see that being a good option because Baltimore County has a huge expo, Montgomery County has that expo. Hopefully we'll bring back our expo. It was actually on my monthly report last week because I keep getting, when I do presentations like that, people are like, when's the expo? I want the expo, because it was a fun event. So I'll bring it up. Any other questions? Mm-hmm.
But it's almost the same process, so I would, the resources, of course, they have their unique context, but just follow that, open map.
Yep, call map. Again, Maryland Access Point is in each county. They might not call it map because it's kind of confusing. I find people are like, who do you work for? So I do, when we answer the map line, we just say Howard County Office on Aging Independence because that is who we are. We are just the information and assistance part. The first stop in trying to get you connected to the appropriate resources and services. But yeah, each county has a map office. Yeah, I mean, certainly Maryland Access Point can help you figure out what resources might be available for older adults that have low vision needs. At our loan closet, Maryland TAP, which is Maryland Technology Assistance Program, which they have a bunch of equipment available for people to try, are out of that location. So you might be able to find some equipment to meet those needs. And then we do have a low vision peer support group at the Bain Center in Columbia that meets weekly. So, yeah. It's in the King's Contrivance part of Columbia. So there, if you go past King's Contrivance Village area and you kind of start taking it back there, there's a, I don't want to say industrial, but office buildings back there that I will encourage you to make an appointment. It's important. They don't really take walk-ins at the loan closet, so you want to make an appointment. Just so that way they can make sure that they spend the time that you need going over and showing you all their gadgets. All right. Please don't hesitate. My name, I'm the manager of the MAP team. You can ask for me by name, but really any of our MAP resource specialists that can help you. On our MAP line, we generally have 4 workers working that line, so there's going to be a good chance you're going to get a live person. I know people are like, oh, I don't want to call because I'll be waiting or I might not get a live person, but our goal is for you to get a live person each time. If you do not, it just might be a heavy day on the line, like a lot of people are calling at the same time, or we might have people out doing presentations and they're just not on the line. But please, I encourage you to call. And if you don't get us, leave a message, and then one of our team members will call you back. Any other questions? Well, thanks for having me. Please share with your friends and family. Trying to get all the information out there so people can plan in advance, or families have these conversations now. And I'm just going to stay over here. If anybody has a question for me, feel free to ask. I'm available.
I just want to say thank you so much, Emily. Even though I have been using Howard County Office of Aging, because you all know my mom's been sick for about 5 years now, they've been a great resource for me. They've been of great help. And still, I have learned so much. I'm not 30 years yet at my house. I'm 20 years, so I'm looking forward to the next 10 years. But I have learned so much from what you have given us. And I just want to say thank you so much. And I want to encourage you, don't wait till the last minute. Call, because there is a long waiting list because of COVID. Like Emily said, I have one of my mom's friend had called about 6 months ago. Her husband was sick, and they got the approval, and the caseworker called. He died last week. The caseworker called on Friday for the appointment to say, we do have somebody assigned. But because of COVID, she had to wait that long. And her husband was really, really, really sick when they contacted the Office of Aging. Don't wait. Have your name on the waiting list. Get things done. If you don't use it, fine, but you are on the list. So thank you so much, Emily.
It's a good point because the big program called the Community Options Waiver, which is a statewide program, it provides in-home care services or helps with the cost of assisted living. It has a wait list, and anybody can get your name on the wait list. The wait list is triaged by need. So people with higher needs will be higher on the wait list, people with lower needs. So sometimes people like to get their name on the wait list, but they're probably going to be low if you're quite independent. But what we try to do is encourage you over time, if your needs increase just a little bit, call us again. We can do the screening, we can answer the questionnaire, and hopefully it will continue to bump you up on the wait list or triage the wait list. For those with high needs, if you are a one on the wait list, generally, you get invited to apply for the program within a month. And what that means is you'll get a financial application. You do need to meet the income and asset guidelines of this waiver program, and you will then start the process. You will fill out the financial application, you will get an evaluation to make sure you meet the functional guidelines of the program, and then unfortunately, what right now is happening is people are waiting either for that case manager or waiting for the plan of care to be approved or waiting for their financial application to be processed. And so, yeah, that's disheartening for me because I hate that. I hate hearing that. So if you do decide you want to get your name added to this wait list, the guidelines are in this book under page 14, Community Options Waiver. There are very low income and asset guidelines. I mean, this is really the state program that is really for people who have financial need and can't afford these services. But again, call MAP, any MAP. If you're a resident in a different county, call your local MAP and they can complete that questionnaire. Yeah, question. Yeah, you can call MAP and we can look up their name in the system. Just have their name and at least date of birth available. If maybe social security number would be helpful because it is a statewide program. So when we look people up, if they have a very common name, it's easier for us to find people with additional information.
Do a blessing.
Well, thank you, Emily. It's been great. I have a lot of questions, but I guess I will gear them to Anna Rondel just to see how can that work. So blessings to all of you. I just want to close our time together again. It is Sunday after all for those that are here, and this is a time that we set apart for worship and being grateful for God's presence in our lives. And I will ask for you to receive the blessings. So the love of God our Creator, the grace of Jesus Christ the Son, and the presence, empowerment of the Holy Spirit that call us to be witness, call us to be advocates, and call us to be present with those that are in need, both the elderly or the disabled and anybody in the spectrum, to be with us so we can be truly the body of Christ to the community that God calls us to serve. So go in peace, and may this be a blessed day for all of you. And thank you to Emily again.